Husband will not sleep with me after 3 years. We're having another talk tonight. Content warning. Mention of a very unpleasant issue, mental health issues, TBI. Men of Reddit, and ladies who've dealt with this successfully, I, 37F, love my husband, 41M, more than anything. However, he's had such a low libido over the last 3 years that I'm really starting to wonder if I can do this much longer. Is divorce really the only option when everything else is so right? He is not cheating, his T levels have been tested and are normal, he is not overweight, he had a strong drive early in the relationship, he has Viagra but it doesn't really do much. It helps hold an erection, but it doesn't generate any desire and it gives him migraines. My husband is incredible. He works probably 60 to 80 hours a week to provide above and beyond what we need. Our house is gorgeous, my car and overall safety is his priority, he shows love through acts of service and gift giving, it's constant, I have to watch what I say around him or he'll find whatever and get it for me. He's patient, reliable, generous, kind, hardworking, faithful, and he's sexy. But even after maybe 4 to 6 hard discussions about sex over the past 3 years, some discussions that cause me to cry, he doesn't get it. I've told him to write it on a calendar, that it doesn't even need to be penetration, I've kept up my end by giving oral whenever the mood strikes, I don't always want to, but he deserves it and it's what I'd want too. And that's just it, even after saying I'm human, I didn't sign up for forced celibacy, just give me a little something here and there, it's nada. I'm starting to really think we're never going to have a family even though he always talks about growing our family and having a child one day. But forget a baby, I can't even get him to do me. Nothing. Not even try. So I try to water our grass as much as I can, but I'm doing it 100% alone and damn it, non-stop sex is a pro for marriage and I'm young and hot and want it. What is the deal? So today, we're having another discussion. I'm at a loss for words at this point. I'm not going to leave him. There's no ultimatum to give. I've cried, I've been mad, I've approached it with love, I've tried to model the sexual romance I'm seeking, I feel I've tried it all. I just want him to be happy, which I guess he is, like really happy and satisfied, which I know I can provide. I love sex. Hard, soft, spicy, vanilla, penetrating, oral, corn, all that. Please, after digesting all this context, if there's anything that you think would resonate when we talk tonight, other than begging, which I've done, share your insight. I know a lot of you will say to look inwards. I have and will continue to do so. Please trust me that I've been more than patient, understanding, and helpful. Also, I wouldn't accept weight or appearance as an excuse to ignore your partner for 3 years, but I'm 5 feet 5 inches 120 pounds and have maintained this weight my entire adult life. He is not gay. Lastly, when I point blank ask him what the deal is, he never gives me a real answer. And I know he's sick of this too, which is why I can't understand why he wouldn't just throw me a bone once in a while to shut me up. This is the only issue we have. But boy, it's a big one. Comment. He works probably 60 to 80 hours a week. I think I found the problem. These are new hours. It hasn't been like this for 3 years. But if this is the issue, how do I ease the stress so we can have sex? Comment. What non-sexual physical intimacy do you two participate in? We peck, kiss and sometimes cuddle into each other at night. I'm fine with that. I don't need much more physical touch regularly. But I do need sex as an outlet. And to connect with my husband. Update 1. I, 37F, deleted the original post. BC man, was the truth hard to read? Lesson learned, don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. But, we made so much progress yesterday, for the first time ever, so I wanted to share an update just in case it may help someone else. The gist of the original post is that for 3 years my husband, 41M, and I have had sex like 10 times, except on our wedding weekend/honeymoon. I went on and on about all the talks we've had, how patient and helpful I've tried to be, how I still give him oral from time to time. BC, I can't just do nothing, I love all the sex and I need it in my life however I can get it. But he refuses me often and I feel that he fails to see me as human with sexual needs. No amount of words or tears has altered his behavior at all. So of course, there's a deep sadness that stems from no desire or intimacy from the only person in the world that matters, and from the person who promised time and time again he'd pay more attention to my needs, and from the person who otherwise goes above and beyond every day for me. It's been so confusing and at times, just downright cruel. He's never given me an answer or reason. He's never ever said anything other than he loves me and he'll try harder, literally y'all. I told him to put it on a calendar, I don't care. Just do me. And he couldn't even do that. After posting asking for help because I was planning to have yet another talk with him, I got so much great, but hard, feedback. Why are you talking again? He's been very clear he doesn't want sex. It won't get better so you have to decide for yourself to stay or go. He's lying to you. So true. So wise. But it was so painful. I got upset, deleted the thread, drove around for an hour in tears mourning us and my whole vision of our future, a vision he said he wanted too. That vision includes trying to have 1 kid. I just want my little angel, if it's meant to be. And of course, I want a happy, healthy husband. It all felt like it came crashing down and I couldn't handle being advised to leave when you were in fact taking the time to offer great advice. And I did follow your advice and said fuck the convo. He knows what the problem is. And yes, to everyone's point, WTH was I going to say anyway? That night was calm, but I just got stoned when I got home and turned on LOTR. He stayed out of my way. I still didn't know what to say or how to say it, and was still digesting your words. Next day, yesterday. Woke up. First thought, F this. I deserve a convo and I'm going to tell this MF exactly what I fucking feel, and that includes an ultimatum for divorce. So I told him that morning. Including the divorce part. I'm in our closet changing after work and he comes in and closes the door. We have a big closet with a seating area where we chat sometimes, but never close the door. He says, look, and he pulls out his weenie and it's covered with a rash that has one open wound. He said, this is awful for me to talk about. I have genital psoriasis. I got it from the stress of my brain injury. He was in the hospital for a month, couldn't hold a job, moved in by himself for a year before he felt he could function in society again. It's incurable, very painful, and flares up with stress. Kudos to all of you who said it was stress-related. I had 0 patience left, so, stress, could take a hike in my book. But, you were 100% right. For those new, I noted in my original post he works 60 to 80-hour weeks, so many commented it's stress, but I thought, for 3 years? I looked at his dick and then looked him straight in the eye and said, you've put me through hell for 3 years BC of this? You almost made me call off our wedding because of this? You brought me to tears and made me question my own womanhood because of this? The conversation continued. Him, I know. I don't know what to say. I was scared to death. It's not contagious. Me, I know it's not. I wouldn't care if it was. I don't think you're cheating. But you've lied to me this entire time. You broke my heart over and over all BC of your pride and embarrassment over something totally fine and normal. I know. This is really hard for me and I'm trying to be vulnerable. I can tell he's physically uncomfortable at this point. I take his cheeks into my hands. I'm your wife. Your dick could be cut off and I couldn't care less. We'd figure it out. But you have to talk to me. And sir, does your tongue have psoriasis? No. No, it does not. I get what you're saying. Dialogue over. At this point he brought up me sharing my ovulation schedule with him. He said he keeps it and tracks it, and unfortunately, while he knows I peaked Saturday, he has an outbreak right now, as he showed me. That's no problem at all, but you have to tell me. As far as I knew, you were just ignoring the whole thing and that was awful. I'm thinking I'm on this boat with you and we're a team, and next thing I know I'm on an island by myself. We left it with an agreement that he'll let me know when he feels good and then I'll initiate when I'm in the mood. I've done a ton of research on this BC, as you all know I love this man and want to fix this, so I've learned about responsive advances and I think this may work better for him. Is this exactly what I wanted? Yes and no. Yes BC, I have cold hard facts that directly contribute to this issue. I already feel sexier and more in control. No BC, we're still going to have to wait to see if he takes initiative when he doesn't have an outbreak, which will be hard right now because of the heat and his work hours. And yes, I did say that we could always downsize and that we can rethink having a child if money was the root of his stress. That all this, gesturing broadly, isn't worth losing this, gesturing between him and I. He swore it isn't and that he's in a great, but stressful position right now, and of course the 110-degree heat isn't helping. Overall, I'm satisfied. I feel lighter, reinvigorated to meet him where he is, and more confident as a woman. For the first time in a long time we had real intimacy. That moment in the closet was non-physical intimacy which I so desperately crave. And I now have a much better understanding of his mindset so I can adjust my attempts to seduce him. Wild ride. Thanks for reading. Edit, thank you all for sending me to the psoriasis sub. I've gotten hundreds of immensely helpful comments from those suffering and those whose partners are suffering. After learning more, I completely understand how insensitive suggesting oral sex was. That during an outbreak so much as a little chubby, much less a full erection, can be god-awful. I understand so much better now and will not put this expectation on him. Comment. I'm glad you feel better. But I also really doubt this is the one thing that caused these problems for years and that now that he's told you it will get better. If he wanted to connect with you intimately, he would have. I hope I'm wrong, but I wouldn't get my hopes up in your shoes. OP, I 100% agree. I told myself this is one step in a long journey, but if I'm not going to leave, then I gotta be willing to go through this. I feel much better, but I know we have a ways to go. Comment. I mean, he couldn't have gone to a dermatologist and gotten steroids to treat it? For 3 years he has been walking around with a bumpy D and making his wife suffer? OP, I'm still resentful of this too. I'm trying to be supportive while also being pissed. In no way do I think this is 100% resolved. Comment. Honestly, as a guy, I've never heard of this ailment before and I would probably do the same thing. Questions of manhood are hard for us to bring up even to our spouses, and something like that sounds like it looks like something that is contagious, and as much as I love my wife I feel like she would question it. I feel for you and get frustrated, but, not to be a jerk, I feel for him. I appreciate you taking the time to reply. This is exactly how I feel too. I understand what everyone is saying, but I know him and he doesn't want to hurt or disappoint me ever. And he never has, except for this. Yes, I was angry and still am. Yes, I think lack of sex is grounds for divorce, but I also don't want to divorce this amazing man. I feel yesterday was genuine. I feel it was difficult for him and he was ashamed and embarrassed. I felt those emotions through him. I can't understand it. I don't agree with it. And I'm so sorry I contributed to it in some way. I never would have been busting his balls this hard had I known. I need to learn more about the mental side of this. Update 2. Hasn't even been a week and it's like I'm in a new marriage. We had our breakthrough and then he had to travel for work, but it gave me a few days to 1, digest everything, and 2, get all the products you guys recommended. He came home to his side of the bed full of different soaps, lotions, and underwear. I never said a word. He poked around and pulled some stuff out and took it to the bathroom. He said he doesn't like the Bombas undies I got, but that he knows a brand he does like, they're just too expensive. This is a whole new layer to this. He literally said no to this expensive underwear because he'd rather spend that kind of money on me or something we both need. We've got to work on him knowing he is worth whatever the cost that's needed to bring him happiness. He's totally worth expensive undies, the derm visits, the shots and creams. If I have to pay every cent to get him there, that's fine. He takes complete care of me and would do the same. I also have Rex for docs, but that'll come later. I'm just so grateful he wasn't put off by me trying to help. He was open and curious, and we've even chatted a bit about the patterns he experiences when he has an outbreak. I felt so much more confident too. I was always awkward and uncomfortable, not necessarily him, but it was the constant rejection that just made me so confused. Does he even want me to touch him? Does he even like me? But now I'm rolling all over him and he's being so receptive. Grabbing me and dragging me all over him too. Calling me beautiful while looking in my eyes. Kissing my face, my head, my mouth. When it's time to get up I just simply say, I don't want to hurt you, and he picks me up and helps me off him. Easy peasy. Even this morning, I went to get up around 6 and he sleepily said no. Y'all, this man hasn't cared if I came or went for 3 years. Well, yes. He probably has but never knew how to say it because he knew I'd think sex and he couldn't do that. What a mind F for everyone involved. Now I just gotta chill and not be too much. Talk about it, but not too much. Help him, but not too much. It may take another 3 years, but at least now we're moving forward. I also now have an arsenal of sexually explicit things we can do that won't hurt him thanks to all the men and women who've learned to navigate this with their loved ones. It's a new day, folks. Comments. And you apologized for your reaction when you asked him if he could go down on you when you saw his penis, right? OP, we've both apologized to each other. Comment. With regards to him wanting to spend the money on you instead of treatment, I would actually let him do that occasionally if I were you. Otherwise his psoriasis becomes his whole life and that's no fun at all. OP, one of our conversations after he told me what was going on was about his gift giving. I asked if he does this because he feels he needs to make up for sex. And he said no. That it's just what he likes doing. So long as it's all healthy, that's fine with me. Your overall point is well taken. Our lives shouldn't be consumed by this either way. Comment. Happy for you. But one thing I haven't really seen people discuss in your other threads is that THIs can make people do things that aren't rational because, well, their brain is injured. Even after they seem better, and sometimes in strange or only very specific ways. Him not wanting to spend money on things like the underwear might be not feeling like it's worth it. But it also could be him just not being completely equipped to make the most rational evaluation of how that money could be best spent, and that this is a good way to spend it. It seems especially relevant also that not only did this start with his TBI, but that it comes down to a problem directly related to his TBI. Obviously the dermatologist is a good idea, but between the stress he seems to have constantly been under for the last 3 years and the physical symptoms, he might need more follow-ups about that. OP, I'd imagine some part of his psoriasis is still tied in his mind to that awful time. He's much better now, but I know the whole thing still bothers him. He lost a year of his life and it took 10 more to get himself on any professional financial trajectory he could be proud of.